these are some of the topic: sniffing, spoofing, man in the middle, right? We have in place, which is very common and very much well known. Okay, and another one is wireless network we have in place. Where like we were discussing about different kind of wireless encryption, WPA, WPA3, and all this kind of stuff. I will be explaining as well in a very simple and plain language, which are very crucial important. Okay, because nowadays everyone is connected to the Wi-Fi. Everyone, okay, even you or me as well. So the other thing, and network hardening and defenses. So what I can do to make my network hardening means securing. What I can things I can add up in my network to make it much more secure, right? That's called hardening the system. We'll be coming to that particular part. What are the things? What are the different methodologies, different strategies we use to harden our systems in place? Okay, that kind of thing. The policies, the structure, the different kind of devices we can add up in our systems to make it much more just make it much more tough. Hardening means to make it tough. And what why we I want to make my particular system tough to for the hackers, tough that the hacker would not easily hack into my particular system. So I want to make my system hard to hack. Okay, that's what called network hardening, right? That's it. Perfect. Okay, so let's get started, right? So yesterday there were some of the few topics which were left. So, what the first topics we have in place is that what is a cookie we have in place, right? What are the cookies? And it's yesterday you were just at the end we were discussing this kind of a stuff, right? And I get that many of you were facing some kind of an issue in understanding about the cookies part. Okay, so let me explain you once again what these cookies are, right? And there are plenty of things we'll be also discussing as well. Okay, perfect. So guys, what really happens is that this cookies, okay, in the context of computer we are talking about, right? And they are very, very important. They have their pro as well as they have their cons as well. Okay. Okay. So guys, in the particular field, right, what is actually a cookie? So cookies, what it's a data packet, okay, a piece of an information. You can say that if you want to make it much more simpler, a piece of an information which has which severely impact our online experience, right? And they play a pivotal role in personalization, authentication, analytics, session management, right? That's kind of thing. It happens in the cookies. Let's say for example, if I just give you another example, okay, let's say there is a website which is very famous social media website which is called by the name of facebook.com. Fine. Today is 12th of October and it's 8:13 p.m. right now. And what I did is that I just go to my particular Facebook account and log in my credentials. I just, enter my credentials, username, password. Fine. Okay. So that's going to happen is that I am logged in there. And what I did, without signing in, I just cancel that particular tab and that's it. Next day when I will be entering and clicking to sign in, automatically guys, what is going to happen is that I will be signed in through the facebook.com. How it was possible? Because now my credential was stored in something which is called by the name of cookies. And because there was cookies already present related to the Facebook, and there my credentials were present, the next day when I clicked into login, the it verified from the cookies and I was able to log in. Okay, this is one of the also a thing application of the cookies. Another thing is that if today, let's say for example, right, I go to my Flipkart or Amazon or any other e-commerce platform, right, or I would say even my Instagram account or YouTube account, it is completely different from rest of you guys. Okay, based upon this my search history, because based upon the different channels, the reels that I watch, right? Different creators that I see. Okay. Based upon that, my feed would be completely different. My Instagram wall would be completely different from you guys. Okay. How it is possible? Because cookies are created and your credentials, your information are kept in that particular cookie. So that's kind of an advantage, right? Based upon my respective search history and my preferences, I am provided multiple same videos related to the topic which I'm interested. Let's say, for example, I'm interested into network security. Let's say, for example, it's a hot topic, okay, or about machine learning. So I go to the YouTube channel and just type, machine learning. So what is going to happen is that I will be provided a lot of things. So what really this cookies tracks you, like tracks your movement, which website you're visiting, and based upon that as well, it collects your information, and it would provide you advertisement as well, content as well. Okay, that is also a thing. So let's say, for example, if you go to the amazon.com and you type for I want shoes, okay, or I want this kind of you can say laptop as well, okay, you want some kind of a specification of i7, and it should have 1 TB of SSD, something like that kind of thing. You're searching all over the internet, and from few days you're going through it. Perfect. Now what really happens, suddenly you will be able to see that now when you go to some other website, let's say for example there is New York Times website, okay, you go to that particular New York Times website, you will see somewhere down the line you will be seeing what you will be seeing advertisement about laptops, okay, that this HP laptop is there, or this Acer laptop is there, or this Dell laptop is there, which i7 configuration. Guys, have you seen that? That suddenly you're going somewhere and you will be seeing that, boss, I was searching for somewhere and now I'm getting advertisement related to that. How it's possible? It's possible due to these cookies. Okay, so I think that's an advantage you have in place. Okay, that I'm looking for something and I get an advertisement about it. Companies are following it, giving it, and they will be saying, Amit, just come to our website and we'll be giving a lot of discount. And I'm pretty good till that particular point in time. Okay, okay, that's a thing. Fine. Okay, so cookies in the back end help it, right? So cookie plays number of role. First of all, cookies help us to maintain our session, as I told you, right? The session has been maintained. Next time you does not need to continuously provide your authentication. Okay, right? Once you have logged into the facebook.com today, and I entered my credential, my username and password, I would say my multi-factor authentication as well. Okay, that's it. And now what is going to happen is that, yeah, okay, one more thing, guys. In whichever kind of social media account you have in place, Instagram, Facebook, anything, okay, enable multi-factor authentication, right? Okay, perfect. So I have entered it, right? And my credentials are there. Now what is going to happen, that credentials are going to be stored in the form of cookies in my local system in place. Okay. Now next day I want to log into the facebook.com without any giving any other authentication. These cookies would be utilized for my authentication and I will be signed in. Okay, that's why it's never recommended that just you should never access these Facebook account or social media account in some unknown computers. Way back in today's world, there are not much cyber cafes left, right? But way back, okay, I've seen that cyber cafe days where internet was not so prominent. There was some specific location if you want to access something, okay, your school projects or college projects you want, or any sort of a search you want to perform. There were certain things which you call this by the name of cyber cafe, okay, and you go there and there was internet connection being provided. Most of the time people do what they want to go to their Facebook ID and all this kind of social networking site they want to access. They were very young and they log in into it, and without log out they completely shut it down or just can't just close their search engine. Okay, but cookies are still there. And next time what can happen, I can go to that particular system, open that particular account, right? I can steal the cookies as well, or I can do what, I can log into a particular Facebook account and it would be very disastrous. Okay, that's the thing. So cookies help us in session management. So we will be saying the actual word without this complete definition, without this complete thing. The correct word is cookies help us in session management, maintaining the session that I connected with the Facebook, and suddenly due to any reason I have to cut it down. I can make it again without giving the credentials again, right? In a very short period of time. How? Due to the cookies. Perfect. Fine. Okay. Then another thing is that personalization. In today's internet world, every social media account or every feed, YouTube feed, or you can say, your Instagram feed, right? Or Facebook as well, their feeds that, the timeline, you can say that, or wall, okay? Different network has their different name to say, but I think you get the idea. So it is personalized, right? So now in that particular scenario, what is happening is that organizations are using these cookies for the personalization. If I'm going to the YouTube and searching for a specific thing, and continuously I will be provided a lot of things about that specific topic. Let's say, for example, 2 or 3 day backs, I'm looking for pen testing in a cloud platform. I want to do that as well. Okay, I want to learn it. I have just not much of good understanding about how to do performing pen testing in cloud platform. So I was learning about it. I was looking for the Google and what are the different mentors and all this kind of tech talk, this and kind of interviews going on. Suddenly, after 2 3 days, my complete YouTube wall was filled with discussion about pen testing, particularly in cloud platform, whether in AWS, Azure, GCP, Oracle, Alibaba. It was all about. Somewhere interviews, somewhere shorts, and all this kind of a stuff. How? Due to cookies. So, in cookies really help you in personalization. Okay, that's the thing we have in place. Okay, and many websites, they use cookies to collect the data on the user behalf, right, enabling them to analyze and optimize size, that their specific site performance and user engagement. Okay, so the cookies tracks you as well. Okay, and another is the targeting advertisement. So I told you that your particular piece of information is collected, right, and then piece of information which has been collected is sold to someone else, right? And that's how these Google and these big corporate, particularly Google, I would say, they sell it to someone and they get what? They get the advertisers, right? And they collect the money. But as I told you, so these were the advantages what were you having, right? So now it was all about cookies are making our life beautiful, interesting. The content that I want to watch, it has been provided to me. Okay, so that's due to that particular reason I'm spending much more time in that specific platform. It's good, fine. But now let's talk about some of the problems that can arrive due to cookies. Yeah, right. So why, right? While cookies are fundamental in today's world, every organization is using it, and I would say till some degree cookies are good, fine, but they definitely for sure raise some security issues. Okay, so let's say for example, if the sensitive information is stored in cookies without encryption, as I told you, if I want to log into my fine. Okay. So yeah. So as I told you that today I just log into my Facebook account with my username, password, and multi-factor authentication. Okay. Perfect. Tomorrow I does not need to enter my authentication. I am already logged in. You have heard about that kind of thing, right? You just open your WhatsApp and you does not need to provide authentication again and again. Why? Because you are logged in. So how does that particular why WhatsApp remembers you through the cookies, right? There are cookies in your particular system, and there your WhatsApp credentials are present. So now, so that's how the authentication done in the backend, right? You does not need to worry about it. Same with the Facebook, same with the Instagram. If you have an Instagram, that app installed on your particular PC, you does not need to install multiple time or provide multiple authentication, right? You just click on the app and you're good to go because cookies are present there, and their cookies, your credentials are there. Fine. But remember that thing, those credentials should be in an encrypted format. Way back when cookies were introduced to make the life much more interesting, way back in 90s, I would say, cookies used to be not encrypted. The information present inside the data, inside the cookies, is sensitive, right? I am having my password, username, and all kind of stuff in the cookies. So that particular piece of information should be encrypted. Fine, with some good algorithms. Okay, what kind of activities you are doing in your particular system in place. Okay, which let's say for example you want to purchase a book. Fine, you visited a books section in that particular, let's say for example Amazon. So cookies would be tracking you. Okay, that Amit has gone to this particular bookshelf. He has spent 5 minutes. Then he visited to this particular section, right? Let's say for example horror. Okay, and he spent 10 minutes there. He was searching for some file, some books. He was not satisfied. He has not purchased anything or not added anything to the card. Then he visited to, like for example, sci-fi, and then he spent 20 minutes there, and there he selected a book. Okay, so cookies, in cookies all this information would be stored. Fine, that's what we have in place. So that information should be encrypted. And you can see that one annoying thing happening here is this cookie is tracking me, all of my activities. And remember, this thing has become even more creepy when there are some cookies which are called the super cookies, which I will be explaining as well after this thing. Cookies which are called the super cookies, which not only tracks you in Amazon but after the Amazon as well. What I mean is that, let's say for example, just forget about this is normally how a cookie works. Okay, I go to the Amazon, I just go to the one of the bookshelf. I want to purchase a book. I go to the section like say horror or sci-fi or like say for example anything, right? Okay, I just go there and I'm not happy with it. I'm searching through it so that I can purchase a book. Okay, so cookies are tracking my activity, that he's spending 5 minutes in this particular section, then 5 minutes in this and this and this. So they are looking for that, and then they, based upon that analysis, they will be targeting me with it. Let's say for example, every day 20 minutes I go to the sci-fi section but I do not purchase anything. Within few days I will be start provided getting advertisement that Amit, this is a new sci-fi book that has been arrived. Okay, that kind of stuff. Even I'm going to some, like say for example in India there is a newspaper which is by the name of Indian Express. I'm going to the Indian Express website to understand what's going happening around the globe, right? Which country is doing what and all this kind of stuff, right? Or why my what my particular state government or the central government is doing it up. Okay, that kind of stuff. And suddenly, without nowhere, there would be a section, there would be an advertisement all about sci-fi books would be coming it up. That kind of happens also due to the cookies in place. Fine. So that's normally how the cookies work. Okay. Now it becomes even more creepy. There is something which is called by the name of super cookies. Those cookies tracks you outside of the application. Let's say for example I go to the amazon.com, okay, and Amazon has super cookies. Fine. Now what is going to happen is that till the time I am inside the Amazon, it is going to track all of my activity, that at 9 a.m. he logged in, he go on to this particular section, his cursor is there as well. They can track your cursor activity, how long the cursor was there, how what was displayed on the screen. Everything can be tracked using the cookies. All these things is kept in the cookies. Okay, and then it's been analyzed, and then it's you are being bombarded with the advertisement. I'm even good till that bot as well. Perfect. Okay, I get that. In order to for working of this, this particular complete internet, definitely for sure the provider has to earn something, right? So he sells my data, my section that I'm curious with, to the advertiser, and I get that. Till some extent it's justified, till some extent. Okay, but now problems start arrive when the cookie so okay, so my job is fulfilled, right? I'm not happy with the Amazon. I think that okay, I should purchase the book next week. Okay, I just comes out of the Amazon and I go to I logged into my Facebook account. But remember, still the Amazon cookies would be tracking me. That Amit came at 9 a.m. He looked for this. He spent 5 to 10 minutes in our website, and then he visited to the Facebook. And in Facebook, he friended some request to his one of his friend or his brother. Then he was chatting with his sister. Then he was, change his DP. This everything is tracked by Amazon cookie, that I am doing in some other application. Then he came out, logged out of his Facebook, and then he gone to some other social media account, and then he did this is becomes even more dangerous, more creepy. This is called super cookies, which tracks you across the applications, right? And have then they will be using all these kind of an information, you know against you. Fine, that is a thing. And then if those kind of analysis data that has been gathered against you, your activity that you're performing there, it is sold over the internet. And that's how these organizations makes billions of dollars, right? You have in place. So guys, this is type of cookies, three. There are plenty of cookies, but I have just written here only three only. Okay, one is called the persistence one. So you see here it is called the persistence cookies. Cookies stored for an extended period of time, long duration period of time. Okay, then comes the third party cookies. Cookies used to collect data on people's online activities. That those are called the third party cookies we have in place. Then comes the session cookies. Cookies deleted instantly after closing the browser. Okay, so you have this particular web browser in place. The moment you close it, the cookies are gone. That's called the session cookies. But if the cookies are there for a longer period of time, that called the persistent cookie in place. Fine. Okay. Fine. Okay. So this guys, this is all about super cookies. Let me again once again tell you super cookies. super cookies, what they do is that they are so dangerous that they what they do is, okay, so super cookies, they are also called as, ever cookies. Fine. Or they have also a name, because I was reading an article, and that particular article, they were also saying it as a zombie cookies, right? Right. And they are not your typical, browser cookies, okay, which will be providing you and just, then you will be getting an advertisement. That's not the thing. It's go beyond that. Fine. While like the traditional cookies, what they do is that they used to store like, small amount of data, like user data, such as like, login information, or you can say like your session ID. Okay. So super cookies, guys, are more advanced and persistent form of web trafficking. They are designed to s- survive convenient method of cooking removal and tracking prevention mechanism, making them particularly challenging to evade. So what they do, they are so persistent that they will track me across the application, right? So let's say, for example, again, I'm giving you an example, same example. I'm going to the amazon.com, and in the Amazon, I am looking for the book or any kind of discount or anything I am looking for. And Amazon has super cookies. Fine. Okay. Now what is going to do? I just log out of the Amazon and go to the Facebook. The cookies of the Amazon would be still what, they will be still tracking me, my activity in the another application. Then I log out of my that Facebook, go to the Instagram, they will stick the still Amazon cookie would be tracking me, right? Okay, so that's called super cookies. They track you across the applications, and it's very dangerous, boss. Fine. Till some extent I get the idea of the cookies, but after that, it's really scary, right? All of that. Fine. So definitely, for sure, there is a lot of privacy concerns, security risk, right? And user frustration as well. Okay. So what are the protection against these super cookies, right? At an individual level. First of all, use privacy tool. Like, you can use tools and extensions, right, that help block or manage various tracking mechanism, like particularly the use this super cookies. So you can have multiple extension, multiple tools which will be blocking these super cookies. That's also thing. What another thing is that regularly clear your data. So like we have this, if you just uh, like in my particular antivirus, I have the particular option that I go and just look into it, that I want to free up some space. So it will be saying that 1 GB or 2 GB of thing is present in my Google Chrome. I will be looking into it, nothing is there. So what is that 2 GB? 2 GB is the temporary thing. Most of the time, garbage or the cookies are there. So what is happening? Regularly, you have to clear that data, that particular temporary files in your particular web browser. Those cookies, the tracking cookies, it could be present for a longer duration of times. Okay, so on a regular day or once a month or once a week, get rid of them, clear it out. Okay, and use privacy focused browser. If you want to get rid of super cookies or cookies, get use, or I would say use extensively privacy focused browser, like as I told you yesterday, Brave or DuckDuckGo, right? They have this built-in feature to block super cookies and all this kind of stuff in place, right? And then another one is educate yourself, stay informed about this latest cookies and these malicious cookies which are tracking you, right, across multiple applications. Okay, so these, if you use this kind of a thing, you are safe. Fine. There is most too common, if you use Chrome, I would say it becomes very difficult to protect yourself from cookies, right? But if you use two applications, to web browser, I would say DuckDuckGo and Brave, right? I would definitely, for sure, without using any other third party tool, you are saved from a lot of cookies, right? That's it, will automatically block it up. Okay, that's the thing. Fine. Okay, perfect. Devansh. Okay, let's move ahead. Okay, so now what is the session we have in place, right? So session is refers to the period of interaction, or I would say engagement, between a user and a computer system, right? So often a web or often we can say that a web server. So during a session, what happens is that a user can perform a series of related actions, right? And the system typically keeps track of the user activity and maintain state information. So, session are crucial for maintaining user interaction and ensuring a seamless experience on website and application, right? Okay, that's what the session is all about. So this is right now in front of you guys. You are seeing that this is, okay, this is something which is called by the name of OSI model. How many you are aware about OSI model? It's a theoretical model, right? Okay, or absolutely the referenced model we can have as well. Okay, correct, right? This is an OSI model, and this is a session which has been set up between two parties in place. Fine. Okay, correct. Now let's talk about something which is called by the name of session hijacking. Fine. Okay, so now in this particular session hijacking we have in place, we have this particular person, right? Okay, just wait a minute. Let me just clear up my pen. So we have the victim, we have the server, we have the attacker, right? Three entities we have in place for session hijacking. Okay, so what really happens is that this particular attacker injects a script into this particular system in place, a malicious script, right? To hack it. For why? To hack into this particular server in place. Perfect. Then what really happens, right? This victim, okay, it victim could be anyone, this victims authenticate on server, then the victims wants to, let's say for example, this is a Facebook server, right? I've infected the Facebook server by myself. Now what really happens, next morning, any one of you arrive, right, and enters, the victims authenticate on the servers, entered his authentications, username, password, all kind of stuff, he do that. Okay, and then what really happens, the server returns page code with infected, and so definitely for sure, I say to the Facebook, or any one of you log into a Facebook account, and just says that, okay, I want this kind of an information. Okay, it will be replying back to you, but with infected script that I have did, right? Okay, the moment you get this infected script, now your particular system is also compromised, boss. Okay, or let's say for example, this is also another user, which is user 2. He's sitting somewhere else. He also make a connection with this particular server, right? Because now the server is infected because I have injected a malicious script. He is also infected. All those users will be infected who will make a contact with this particular server in place. Fine. Okay. Now what really happened? The fourth step, victims browser executes the scripts and sends session cookies to the attackers. So now what really going to happen is that this particular person again wants to make a connection. Next day he wants to make a connection, right? He wants to make again to the facebook.com. So he will not be going directly making the connection. The moment he types facebook.com, he will be directed to this attacker, and through this attacker, the attacker hijacks the session and he will be sent to the server. Okay, so the session which will be created, attacker would be in between, and what the attacker would be doing is that attacker would be kind of behaving like the normal user, right? The server would be doing what? Okay, it's a lot of a mess. Let me again it. So what I did is that I have infected this particular person's system and I have stolen his cookies. Okay, see, I have the sender's cookies, I have stolen them, and now using those login cookies, where in those cookies the username and password was present there, I have stolen them, and now what I'm going to do that I'm going to give it to this particular server, authenticate myself, and I will be impersonating as this particular person. Let's say for example this particular victim was X, so I'm going to give my particular this stolen cookies to the server, and I'm going to authenticate myself, and this server would be thinking I am the X. So then what I will be in, whatever kind of information that I want, I can retrieve it. That's called session hijacking we have in place. But for that you have to enter the monitoring tool into it. Okay, if there is no monitoring enabled, then definitely for sure that it would not be able to find it out. Okay, that's what we do in Village. And nowadays what really happening is that those attackers are becoming more complicated for the systems even to detect. That's what the cybersecurity is all about, right? At one hand you have the red team or the pen testers, they are going to penetrate your system. On the other hand you have the blue team who are going to protect it. So cybersecurity in a nutshell is all about it: hacking into a system and preventing the hack from happening. That's what the in a nutshell of hacking. It's two team competing with each other, and it's an endless kind of a war, we can say. Okay, that's what we have in place. So in a good organization, I would say, like in Apple or in Microsoft, because it's quite expensive to have this both organization, but it is made it's kind of very good, right? It increases your kind of security of your organization a lot. So like for example, one of the in India, in Bangalore particularly, there was a big corporate organization, and it was having in one particular complete floor of red team of the pen testers, the hackers who are going to infiltrate the system, and on the other hand, on the next on the another floor, they were having blue team. Those individuals who are going to analyze, monitor, contain the virus, right? Uh, Protect it from escalating further, and defending the systems. And they were constantly war with each other. If the employee of one of that same organization would be try to hack into his counterpart. So it was a very interesting game activities. I get an opportunity to work that particular organization, but it was very interesting. It was quite expensive for sure. Sure, it is expensive because you are by yourself hacking on your own systems so that you find out the vulnerabilities. Okay, that's pretty good thing. Yep. Okay, perfect. Fine. Okay, let's talk about WAF in place, right? Right? Okay, WAF stands for Web Application Firewall, right? Okay, so it is a security tool we have in place, fine, which is designed to protect the web application from a variety of online threats and attacks, right? So it act as a protective barrier between the web application and the traffic it receives, right? Filtering and monitoring the incoming and outgoing data to identify and block malicious activity. Fine. So web are a essential component of a web application security strategy and help protect against wide range of cyber threats. Fine. So let's say for example, like web are primarily they are they are used to safeguard the web application, right? Okay, from various form of cyber attacks, including like SQL injection we have in place, right? So web will be protecting you from SQL injection, structure query language injection, right? They will be protecting you from cross-site scripting, XSS we call as, right? They will be protecting you from cross-site request forgery, which is also called by the name of CSRF, right? And other kinds of common web application vulnerabilities. This web will be protecting you. So it's kind of web in short is a firewall only, but it is dedicated for what? Fits for web applications only. Fine, it's specifically for web application. Fine. So like normally firewall, what normal firewall does is that it analyzes the traffic. Like so web analyzes the incoming and outgoing web traffic, inspecting both request, right? The data that is coming and the data that is being sent from the destination server. Okay, so they look for anomalies, the patterns, the signature that may indicate malicious behavior. And they, let's say, for example, they came across a packet from a user which looks very suspicious. Definitely, for sure, they are going to quarantine it. A ticket would be generated, and then there is something which is called by the in the cybersecurity in the defensive part. There is something which is called by the name of SOC team, which is going to that look after that as well. There's a team which is going to monitor with there's a monitoring forensic all come to the SOC team as well, or a part of the SOC team, and they're going to investigate it up. Fine, that's the thing. Okay, and in WAF, what we can do is that WAF we have predefined security rules and policies to filter out potential malicious traffic. Fine, okay. So these rules can be customized to suit specific need for the web application. Then another thing is that WAF can also be used for real-time monitoring and logging capabilities, and definitely for sure, you know, allowing the security administrator to track, I would say, and investigate suspicious activity as well as to gain insight into potential threat. Okay, that's also a thing. A real time monitoring also it performs. So it again, in short, it's normally a firewall where you have a certain rules, you can configure them as per your specific requirement. All those kind of stuff you can do here as well in web application firewall, but specifically it is for the web application we have in place, right? Okay, multiple things nowadays. These firewalls, they use AI, machine learning to detect this kind of thing, right? Okay, that's the thing, right? It protects you from DOS attack, right? And plenty of things, a kind of an attack, SQL injection, cross-site scripting. It protects you from those kind of things as well, right? It's called the web application firewall, right? And it complements the other security measures as well, right? Like we in the security measures, we have, what are the different things we have in place? The first one is, we have application network layer firewall, right? Then we have application layer firewall. Those kind of things we have in place. We have IDS, IPS, intrusion detection system, intrusion prevention system. All these things we have in place. So this web complement all of them. Fine, that's what we have in place. So, okay, so let's move ahead to the next topic. After understanding the pack, what is sniffing we have in place? Okay, okay, another thing, another question that I have you guys for, that in sniffing, like in, they have three phases of data, right? We have data in motion, right? The data which is being, absolutely, Philip. Okay, the data which is being in motion, right, going from one particular places to another, data which is processed, and data at rest, right? So the sniffing attack is only applied to data in motion, which is going from point A, right, to point B. That's what's happening here. It's going from point A to point B. Fine, right? That's what happened in the sniffing, right? Would sniff it. Let's say, for example, there is a very famous thing, very famous example, I would say, which is called by the name of APT. APT, Advanced Persistent Threat. Okay, this is called the APT, Advanced Persistent Threat. Let me just again explain this APT, which is very, very important, right? Absolutely, Mohan, right? Data in motion is vulnerable to the sniffing part, absolutely. And then we have data in rest, where the data is just, just sitting up. Kimi, I would say, till some degree, it is state sponsored, yes, but if you add, if you just completely explain it, there's more to explain. There's some specific characteristic of APT. Okay, the characteristic of it is definitely, for sure, it could be state sponsored or it could not be a state sponsored, but the characteristics property of APT which differentiate them from other kinds of an hacker, right? Like the lone wolf we have in place, or the script kiddies, or the gray hat hackers, all these different kind of hackers we have in place. What's make them differentiate is they are advanced. They absolutely, Anuj, sustained access. So what it means, they are used a, you know uh, advanced tool, fine, to hide themselves. So even if you have a good antivirus, you have good firewall, IDS, IPS, and latest technology, they will be using even further latest technology in place to make themselves, what, hide themselves, right? So that the virus would not be able to catch them, the fire would not be able to catch them, the endpoint security would not be able to catch them. Okay, and that's called the advanced. That's the A stands for. Then P stands for persistent, for a longer duration of a time. They are not going to be in your system for 2 days. It's the game. They are going to play with you for a long. Let's say, for example, I would say, who would be the target of a APT? Most of the time they are the diplomats, right? Let's say, for example, a APT, let's say, for example, there is a particular person, okay, like in India we have IFS officer, okay, that are for the Indian foreign services, and they are, those are the diplomats, right? So they are, let's say, for example, that particular diplomat is in some different country, right? So APT would be hacking into that particular system, right? And they were going to remember there for a longer duration of time. So persistence means for 1 year, for 2 years into that particular diplomat's phone, PC, network. Why? Because definitely for sure he will be sharing critical confidential information with his government, federal or the central government, right? There for sure, or he will be receiving sensitive information. That's called the persistence. So advanced persistent anti-is the threat, because at the end of the day it is a threat to your CIA triad. In cybersecurity we have a very three important pillars of cybersecurity. Now they are five, but previously they were having, classically we were having three pillars of cybersecurity, right? Upon which this complete cybersecurity standing, three pillars, which is called by the name of CIA triad: confidentiality, integrity, and availability. They are very, very crucial, important part. Fine. Confidentiality, integrity, and availability. So that they possess a threat to your CIA triad, right? Your pillars of security, the basic ground of your security, they possess a threat to it. That is the reason they are considered as a threat. Any from anyone, okay, who is a hacker who poses a threat to your CIA triad in a very short and lame language, right? That's what we have in place. So what's my particular job role is to hide myself. I am hacking into, let's say for example, Microsoft. Okay, so my job is to use advanced and complicated tools, hide in the network of uh, Microsoft, and then what's going to happen is that be present in the system for a longer duration of time. So if anyone is accessing Microsoft server, any client is accessing it up, okay, or someone is accessing it up, so I get to know that what are the things that have been accessed, what are the files that have been accessed, all these kind of stuff I will be able, definitely for sure, would be seeing it up. Okay, that would happen in this APT, advanced persistent threat. What they are the spy that we have in place, right? APT, advanced. So you can see that in this particular diagram, right? This particular person is what? He's sniffing. Okay, yep, let's go. So APT, what they do? They sniff the packet, right? They can hear, they can listen what are the transmission going on between one particular point to another. So guys, have you heard about, there was a tool which is called by the name of Wireshark? So you can see that Wireshark, Burpsuit are the tools we have in place, which we can do is that we can use it for sniffing it out. If two particular parties are communicating with each other, absolutely Mohan, right? Packet sniffing. So if two parties are communicating with each other, whether they are in the same network or in different network, right? So you can use Wireshark to sniff and see what are the that's what's the communication going on between the two parties in place, right? And if you are good with the burp suit, you can even change the thing as well. Fine, that's what we have in place. Then we have another thing which is called spoofing. Spoofing, what we do is that in spoofing we pretend to be someone else, right? Okay, that's what we do in the spoofing. Because see, what really happening here is this: no one's know who is Amit or who is someone else, who is Alan, who is Ivan, who is Gupesh. No one knows that. My identification is only by my IP address and by my MAC address. So in spoofing, what I'm going to do is that I'm going to steal the credential, the username, the password, okay, of a legitimate or session cookies or any sort of a cookies or authentication cookies. I'm going to impersonate. Okay, uh, Gautam, I would not say duplicity, but I would, or we are not going duplicating anything. We are stealing it up, and then I will. What I'm going to do is that, let's say, for example, let's take an example of a Gautam. Right? Gautam has a bank account, right? And I am an attacker, and I steal the credential, the login credential, the session, anything like that, of Gautam. And then I'm going to do what? I'm going to pretend like I am Gautam, and then I'm going to communicate with his bank. His bank would think, you know what, Amit, uh, they will never able to know that I'm Amit. I'm pretending to be, you know, Gautam, right? And I will be able to see his bank statement, and like in India we have the pen card, right? His tax that he has paid, okay? How much of, if there is any sort of a loan that he has taken, how much he has repaid, All these very critical, crucial, important, sensitive information, I will be getting it out. Fine. So in spoofing, what you're doing is that you're pretending to be someone else. Fine. So I stolen his credential and now I am pretending to be absolutely someone else. That is called by the name of spoofing. Okay, that's a thing. Fine. Yup, that's also thing. Email spoofing, app spoofing, multiple things are there, right? So that's also a thing, because as I told you, a attacker is not a hacker is not a foolish. Remember it. A hacker is a very smart person. Even he's stealing your data, he is not a idiot. I would say he's a very smart person. He understands his things, right? He understands his field. He understands the operating system that you're working in, right? Even if you have working in the Windows from 10 years, there are multiple commands. I will be telling you multiple ways that you by yourself are exposing a lot of your information to the Microsoft. Okay, that's what we have in place. Okay, Mohan, man in the middle attack. So man in the middle attack comes under the spoofing. Okay, yep, it's spoofing is a big thing, like email spoofing, ARP spoofing, right? There is ARP spoofing, and inside ARP spoofing we have man in the middle attack particularly. Okay, fine. So remember it, the hacker understands everything. He knows IP address, IPv4, IPv6, all these kind of things. Okay, plenty of things as well. Fine. Okay, so remember the spoofing, what happens in that, it just still giving you a lot background. So man in the middle attacks comes under this spoofing part. Fine. Okay, this is user, this is web application, and this is a particular person in place. Now in spoofing, right, spoofing is a thing, and inside it the man in the middle attacks comes. Okay, I'm going to tell you in much more detail what really happens in the spoofing. What is going to happen is that this hacker would be going to the user, right, and he will be hack into his particular system in place. Fine, he will try to make some connection, and he will steal his credentials, right? Now he has the stolen credential of the user. Using the stolen credentials, then what is going to happen is that he is going to be going to this particular web application, right, or this router, and he's trying to hack into that as well. And then he has the credential of the router as well, right? Okay, right? Again, I'm repeating it up in this thing. See, what is the thing is, the user, the attacker hacked into user as well as this web application or this router, right? Now it has stolen the credential of the router or the server, or of as well of the user. Okay, now it will has this particular thing about the user in place, about information about the user, its credential, its username and a password. He's going to grab this username and a password, this stolen credential of the user, and using these stolen credentials, what he's going to do is that he is going to go to this particular web application and going to make a request, right? So now this particular router would be thinking that, boss, this request is coming from this particular user, which is actually not. I'm pretending to be him, and he is going to provide me information. Same way, again, I am going to go to this particular user pretending to be a router, right? And then he's going to provide me a piece of an information. That what happens in the man in the middle attack in much more detail. Okay, fine. So original connection is this directly, but now it's happening in between. Fine. And I'm accessing everything. Fine. Ezekiel. So, how to get rid of this kind of an attack as well? First of all, we have the monitoring tool. We should have a monitoring tool. If you do not have a monitoring tool in your particular system in place, you are in big trouble. Trust me, you can be compromised. You in your particular respective organization, there would be a man in middle attack happening in from days. There would be an attacker sitting, and whatever the credentials you're sending to a particular end user, right? He's getting it up, right? He's getting through the hacker. Okay, let's say for example, if like my network is compromised or my router is compromised, so in that particular scenario, what is going to happen is that if I use my router to make a connection with my bank account, and now my router is acting like a compromise system. Hacker is sitting over it. Any kind of a transaction or any kind of a request that I make with my bank, or any kind of a thing that I receive from my bank, the request, anything like I want to check my bank balance account or anything like that, definitely for sure in that particular scenario, what is going to happen is that in that particular scenario, boss, my account is being compromised, right? My transaction can be compromised, the credential can be stolen, and they can be used again. Okay, okay, fine. That's the thing. So that is a thing we have in place. Okay, so how to get rid of these things? First of all, if you truly want to get rid of it, first of all, you need to have that your system is compromised. You should be aware about it. And if you want to be aware about that your system is being compromised or not, you have to have something which is called the monitoring tool, SIM solutions, XOR, endpoint security. These kind of monitoring solution for sure you should need to have in your respective system in place or in your organization, right? They will really help you in this kind of a thing. Fine. Okay. That's called man in the middle attack. And once you have a monitoring tool, you get an idea that something is going wrong, right? And then what you're going to do is that you're going to install these antiviruses, anti-malware solution to get rid of it. Okay, if there is a hacker sitting over it, you're going to get rid of it. You're going to either change the particular device. Okay, you get that. Okay, your router has been compromised, then you're going to change the router credentials, right? That's the thing. If the problem, the hardware of the router is compromised, you're going to change the router. Those kind of things, based upon how bad the compromise is, you're going to take the step. Either you're containing it, completely changing the device, right? Those kind of things you will be doing it, or you are going to encrypt your piece of an information. Every system, every PC, every employee of your organization laptop would be encrypted. Okay, that kind of things can happen be as well. So multiple mitigations you can do for it. Okay, but remember, every problem starts with two things that I have seen in my life. Two things, right? Whether it's a network problem, network attack, like the man in the middle attack, spoofing, or anything like that. If you follow these two, three steps, right, a good online hygiene, I would say, it will be provide, you will be protected from multiple problems. First is, right, you can just write it down as well. First is, have a good antivirus, paid antivirus. If you can afford that, it would be pretty good, right? Go to the internet, take a day or two and search. Like, we have different labs who are doing this kind of a test in place. Having a good antivirus is for sure very important. It protects you from a lot of things. Another thing is that encrypt your hard disk. If you have Windows 10 or Windows 11, right? I like Mac also they have in place. I just forgot the name of it. But in Windows 10 and Windows 11, they have that BitLocker. If you have BitLocker, enable it. It encrypts your hard disk. But be very cautious. If you forget that key of the BitLocker, there is no tool in the whole world who is going to decrypt it. That hard disk is gone. Okay, you have no option to just throw it out because it's no use. So be cautious about it. But right, another thing is that whenever making a connection, always look for HTTPS thing. Fine, hypertext transfer protocol, secure HTTPS. Always look for that lock. Okay, look for always for that. Do not click on malicious website. uh, Gotham, TPM is a different thing, right? It's really help you. TPM part is also we are going to discuss today is in this hardening part as well. It's a very interesting thing. TPM, trusted platform module part, very important thing in today's world. If you want to have Windows 11 in your system, you should have TPM 2.0. Okay, that's the thing. Okay, perfect. Yeah, coming back to it. So that's the thing. So, and do not click on a link. Have a strong password. Enable multi-factor authentication. Okay, so if you follow these kind of a stuff in place, definitely for sure you are protected a lot, I would say. Fine. Okay, that's the thing, right? A lot. Okay, perfect. So that's called man in the middle attack. Then let's talk about network. In most of the cases, like the government has already banned the torrent, right? In most of the part of it, because from this virus point of view, also that the user is getting infected, as well as there's a whole market of piracies going on, right? but definitely for sure you can decrease it, but you cannot completely eliminate it, right, boss? That's the thing we have in place. Okay, common man has to be aware about these things in place, right? And then we're definitely for sure, you have the power of that particular vote of the politicians. Talk to your MLA MPs, right, or your different politicians about it. Particularly in part of the world that where I am, people are not very much more aware about cybersecurity. And definitely for sure that has been reflected in the politics as well. Okay, so if you are really concerned about the government or these agencies to make a rule, you should be aware about it and spread the awareness to your other colleagues as well. If the politicians say that okay, now the people are being aware about it, they will start making the rule. Otherwise, if you do not care, no one else care. Simple as that. No matter which government it is, no matter in which part of the world you are in, if you do not care about anything, no one's care about it, boss. Simple as that. Okay, fine. If you want that thing, be aware about it, and that would be reflected in your respective politician automatically. You will be start seeing the changes in this, right? Okay, so that's why that's the thing. You can talk about your particular cousins, your particular family members about not to go in on link, right? I keep on posting up these article by myself, my videos as well, short videos to my family WhatsApp group, that do not click on any link whatsoever. Okay, that's kind of things I have done. I have gone to such an extent by in my family members as well, that one of my brother was there, and he was kind of for 2 years or younger than me, and he was not believing that if you click in a link that your system can be compromised. So what I did, I just made a suspicious link, and I posted in the WhatsApp group, and I'd say that this is a lucky draw and this is this, right? He fall into a trap, he clicked into it, he entered his credentials, I get his username and a password within few seconds, and I messaged him that this is your username and a password. This how easily I was able to hack into a particular thing. Okay, and I can exploit, I can completely delete your Instagram account. Okay, or I can message to someone, a malicious one, and then there will be a lot of problems, lawsuits against you. So those things are there. Make sure aware about it. Okay, perfect. So let's move ahead. Okay, so yeah, we were talking about the network part. So network is what? Network means interconnected, right? So in short, what people, computers, they are in a network. It means they are interconnected. They communicate with each other in place. Fine. That's what we have in the network part. Okay, then we have multiple kinds of a network, right? One of the important component of the network we have in place, which is called by the name of wireless network. Where, let's say, for example, normally, okay, classically you can say that if two computers, two PC wants to communicate with each other, then what is happening is that if they really want to communicate with each other, they should be connected through a cable we have in place, right? Multiple different kind of cables we have in place, so that they should be somehow connected through a cable. So that's what the traditionally how the internet or the machines used to be there. But after the advancement in technology, okay, we have reached to such a advanced phase in the human civilization, where now two devices can communicate with each other without being physically connected with with each other, right? The best example is Bluetooth, and I'm sure that most of you have heard about the Bluetooth, right? It is free. Okay, you does not pay a single penny for it. Fine, but it is so important. We just completely misunder it's free, right? And we use it a lot, right? And we do not think that how impactful that particular technology is, the Bluetooth. Okay, perfect. So yep, so it is short, right? And I would say definitely for sure the Bluetooth has its security problems as well. I cannot ignore it, right? It's quite easy to hack into the Bluetooth. There are Bluetooth snaring, and multiple other problems as well. But yeah, so in Bluetooth, right, you can easily crack someone's Bluetooth as password. Multiple vulnerabilities are there, okay, with the Bluetooth. So very cautious when you're using it up. Okay, right, perfect. Okay, so we have multiple yep, about the wireless network. Let's move ahead. Now let's talk about encryption. Okay, we have talked about network, that connected systems, right? They can easily share piece of information with each other. Then we talked about wireless one, where the device can easily share information between each other, but they do not need to be physically connected with each other, right? They can usually share through, multiple, like we have radio waves, we have Bluetooth. Okay, these kind of things we can also do as well. Fine. Okay. Then let's talk about something which is called by the name of encryption. In encryption is very important thing, boss. In encryption, what we do, we convert a plain text. Plain text means, you can see in this particular diagram, the plain text says "Hi mom," or plain text could be anything. Let's say, for example, if I open up my WhatsApp, and in my particular respective WhatsApp, right, I have this particular thing, in my WhatsApp, I have a particular message to send you guys in place, right? If okay, that hello and hi, this is, so that's what a plain text is all about. But I am in a such a concern that that particular plain text could be converted, that can be stolen, right? Definitely, for sure, this hi mom can be easily, anyone can step. Let's say, for example, the attacker is sitting over the network, and I'm sending a message to one of my friend or to my mother that hi mom, right? So definitely, for sure, the attacker is sitting over the internet, and he can access that kind of a stuff in place. Fine. So he can, what he can do that, what he can do is that he can read my particular message that I'm sending to my mother, right? Or any family member in place, or to my any student. So whatever the message that I'm sending, if it's not encrypted, it is in a plain simple language, then what is going to happen, that is being transmitted in a plain language, right? So that has a problem in place. So what we came up with an idea of encrypting it. In encryption, what we achieve is that we convert a plain text to a ciphertext in place, right? So we have this particular plain text, right? And what we're going to do, using encryption keys, where I'm going to encrypt it up, and I have reached to this cipher key. And this cipher key, you can see that this MC O0AW, and this is this. If the attacker is something like, somehow is able to hack into this particular, even steals it, he will never able to find out what the actual, message was. Okay, that's what we have in place. Fine, that's what. So it, we are converting this particular message into this particular complicated thing, which is called by the name of ciphertext. And now, when it reaches to my mother, this ciphertext will be converted back to the plain text, right, with using the same key, right? And it's called "Hi mom." Okay, and remember, we have two type of encryption in place, something which is called symmetric encryption, and another kind of thing we have in place, which is called by the name of asymmetric encryption. In symmetric encryption, what is going to happen is that the key which is used for encryption and decryption is a single key we have in place. Absolutely, more the same key, the which is used for encryption and decryption. Fine, it has its pro and it has its consequences as well. When you're using those kind of keys, you should be aware about it, right? That they are fast, but they have the security issues that comes with it. Then we have another kind of a key which is called by the name of, you know uh, asymmetric key, right? Or asymmetric encryption. In asymmetric encryption, what we have in place is that we have two type of key: public key and a private key. In the public key, I would say, okay, in public key, the key is publicly available, but the private key you do not share with anyone else. Okay, that's when the public key and a private key, they work together in a very synchronized manner. They form something which is called asymmetric encryption. Again, it has its pro and it has its consequences as well. Fine, that's what we have in place in the symmetric and asymmetric encryption. Perfect. Now let's talk about different kind of wireless encryption, guys, that we have in place, right? Different kind of wireless encryptions. Okay. The first one is called WEP, which, right? WEP in place. So like way back in, I would say, 1990s, right? The wireless network was, it was just new, and new to the normal people. Like military was still using it up, but for the normal individual it was very very new, this particular wireless network. And they lack this, some security measures. So due to that, any sort of a transmission was vulnerable for the attackers, the hackers, right? So this, to address that kind of an issue, we came up with something which is called by the name of WEP, right? Encryption protocol. It was introduced in 1997 as a security solution for the Wi-Fi network, right? And its primary objective was to prevent unauthorized access, or to prevent unauthorized user from accessing data transmitted over the wireless network. Okay, that's what we have in place. So how it really works? So WEP relies on a shared key, which is also known as WEP key, to encrypt and then decrypt the data. Fine. So when a device connect to a WEP protected Wi-Fi network, it must provide a correct WEP key. One Once authenticated, the data transmitted between the device and the access point is encrypted using this particular key. Okay. So WEP employs a stream cipher algorithm, which is like RC4, to generate a key stream that is X0RED, right, with plain text. So this process obscure the data during transmission, making it challenging for the eavesdroppers to duplicate without the WEP key. So, but what was, why we replaced it? Because in today's world, we do not use this WEP for sure, right? How to verify it? Let's say, for example, go to a particular network setting and go to the hotspot, right? And there you will be seeing that there the encryption mechanism which is being used is WPA2 or WPA3. It will never be WEP. Okay. So what was the thing? The problem was short key length. The another was static keys, flaws in initialization vector. These are the very different concept we have in place in cryptography that I teach. Okay. Lack of authentication and plenty of things we have in place, right? So it was not secure. In short, WEP was not secure. It was first, it was good, it served its purpose, but it has its own flaws in place. And when it was tested for security, hackers can easily hack into it multiple times. So then why we there was an urgent need to go beyond this particular WEP. Okay, fine. Then we came up after the WPEP when it was, I can it was old. We came up with another kind of a protocol in place, WPA. Fine. And what is WPA? It stands for Wi-Fi Protected Access. Okay. And definitely for sure, WPA was much more secure than WEP. Okay. Fine. Right. And it also served its purpose. Right. So it for sure it was much more secure. Encryption was much more strong. Fine. And provide high level of security, all these kind of things. It was having good encryption, a good key rotation, right? Something which is called, we have in cryptography we have a thing which is called by the name of message integrity check, MIC. It also has that kind of thing and well, right? But definitely for sure for a longer duration of time we used it, but after that multiple vulnerabilities were found in WPA. First those vulnerabilities were patched, but after that for some duration of time it became, you know very difficult, right? Because now the complete architecture, it would look like this architecture is old and we should go for some new protocol in place. So now we do not use this WPA as well. It served its purpose for a longer duration of time, it was encrypted, everything was fine, but it has now its flaws. As I told you, there is nothing, no perfect technology. The technology which we consider, the algorithm which we consider today as perfect, within few months, days, years, it will be completely replaced with a new one. Okay, WEPA was also one of that. So then it was replaced because multiple vulnerabilities were found, right? Okay, so then came WPA2. Fine. WPA Again, it has all the good points of WPA, but it also resolves the problems of WPA, the first generation of the WPA. What are the problems there were? It resolved it out, right? The key rotation, the problem with it, the hashing part, multiple things we have in place. It resolved that as well. Okay, fine. Now, the thing is that we start using this particular WPA2, and I would say that we still use this WPA2. Okay, so now the question you can ask me that, Amit, is WPA2 is hack proof, or is there any kind of, is there is no vulnerability found in WPA2? I would say no. There are vulnerabilities that has been found in WPA2, and plenty of them have been, right? And then definitely for sure it raises a lot of security concerns for the security guys, right? Multiple organization. So what we are in a transitional phase, I would say. Right now we are in a transitional phase from going from WPA2 to something which is WPA3. It is again best of the both world, contain best of WPA1, WPA2, right? But it resolved their vulnerabilities here. Okay, the limitation, the problems, the loophole that were present in WPA2 and WPA1, it get rid of them. Okay, it has its own new vulnerabilities in place that definitely for sure is being exploited. Only I think only two or three vulnerabilities has been found, or I'm not sure about it. It's been a long time to look into it, but I think the last time I checked it was two or three vulnerability that were found in WPA3, and I think it's good, right? If every system is going to have a vulnerabilities, it doesn't mean that you have to get rid of it. But the thing is that there are some limitations for that. Okay, the vulnerabilities should be not so much that the patching fails. Okay, the complete architecture should not collapse. Okay, if there is some more problems in code, something encryption, I can change it, no issue with that. But to some degree that's right, after some time I have to get rid of the WPA3 as well. Okay, and now let's say for example, guys, have you heard about quantum computing? It's a very hot topic right now also as well. After the machine learning, there's a lot of talk about blockchain and quantum computing, right? So yep, so quantum computing, right? Definitely for sure, quantum computing is that it's kind of, if anyone has not heard of quantum computing, those are the computers which are much more faster, a lot faster, right, than the traditional systems or even they are thousand times much faster than our today's supercomputers, right? If a supercomputers take, let's say for example, 1 week to perform some kind of a complex mathematical calculation, a quantum computer could that perform that within few seconds, right? That kind of things we have in place, so it's completely works upon different thing. Yeah, but I would say the latest Android phones, they use WPA3 for sure, right? The latest phone that we are in the market, that's why I told you we are in transitional phase. Okay, so we are going from WPA2 to WPA3. Not all the devices you will be seeing would be containing WPA3. In one of my cell phone, it's Android, I am having WPA2, which I have purchased in 2022. Okay, it's 5G, but still it has having WPA2. Okay, and even multiple service providers also are using. I would not name them, but in India, particularly the famous service providers which provide the internet, you can guess their names. They're also using WPA2. If you go to their setting, you can use. They are still using WPA2. So that's why I told you, few other devices still using it, this WPA2, and there's still devices which are using WPA3. Okay, so we are in a transitional phase. If you go to the latest Android mobile, I would say most of them would be using this WPA3. Because see, why we are saying in a transitional phase, why not all of the Android phone would be using WPA3? Because it's a new technology and it would be expensive. So if let's say for example, if I'm having a ninth, if let's say for example organization is building up 6,000 or 7,000 of uh you know budget phone, right? So definitely for sure they're not going to implement WPA3 because it will be increasing the cost of the phone for sure, right? That's the thing. So that's also a reality. The finance, the economics is also part of it, right? Okay. Okay. There's no kind of an updation that your system would be then jumping from WPA2 to WPA3. It's completely a different thing. It's thing that happens in the chipsets. You have to change it. Okay. Perfect. About the WPA3. Perfect. So we are in transitional phase. Many of your systems, if you go look to it, you will be seeing WPA3. It cannot be, updated, boss. It is not a software. It's like a chipset, because a lot of the things is symmetric and the asymmetric part happens in certain chipsets we have in place. If the chip is not able to handle this key process of WPA3, he would fail. It will then create a lot of issues as well. Okay, perfect. That's called the WPA3. Now let's talk about network hardening and defenses. In short, if you look into this particular picture in place, guys, it is network hardening and network defenses. So in network hardening and network defenses, what is going to happen is that you are protecting your particular piece of what you're protecting your devices, your network. It's not, network hardening is not just about, you know people, right? Or I would say not about software or not about network, right? It's about everything. So network hardening means, or in short, right now the topic is network hardening, but I'm going to tell you from the context of complete organization, right? From the operating system, from the hardware part as well, because hardware hardening is also there. Hardening means to make your system foolproof, right? To get rid of all the vulnerabilities, to get rid of everything in place, to patch out the all the vulnerabilities, to do everything, to make everything possible, to make sure that my system is foolproofed, right? Let's say for example, InfosecTrain, okay? And in InfosecTrain we have a router as well, or we have public the public cloud as well. I am going to use every bit, everything that I have in place, every knowledge, every tool, to make sure that my organization is foolproof. That is called hardening, making it harder for the attackers to infiltrate inside it. Correct, you can also do, Suresh. Correct, right? Perfect. That is also one of the things that you can use it up. Okay. Or what I can use is say is that if in my like in some of the organizations that I have seen by myself as well, they definitely by themselves disable the USB ports. Okay, that's also a thing. Yeah, you can use policies, you can enable tools, you can download tools in your particular systems in place, right? Installing a antivirus in your particular system, that's also part of hardening the system, right? From the hackers, because then it make definitely for sure, yes, close or disable the ports. If there is a port which is open, you can use nmap tool for that. If you figure out, okay, this is a port that is open, it's useless, you can just shut it down. All these kind of stuff you can do, right? Do not use vulnerable protocol. Absolutely, that comes. So Gotham, you have written that do not use vulnerable protocol, that comes under a policy, right? Okay. Change default password, Shirini, that comes under the policy. So you can set up the policies in your organization that make a complex password, enable multi-factor authentication, do not click on a link, right? Or do not post your organization stuff, things, right? Pictures over the social media. That also a policy that I have seen in many organizations, that they prohibit their employees from sharing or clicking photos inside the organization premises, because they think that, or I would say they're thinking correctly, that those information which is posted publicly can be used against them. Okay. Absolutely, cybersecurity administration should be absolutely there in village. Like that's why I've seen in, like for example, I also worked as with law enforcement agencies, and I've seen by myself as well that nowadays across in India and across the world, many organizations, whether it's government and the private sector, the police, the military as well, they are educating themselves, their employees as well. Okay, right? So that these incident can be decreased, okay, and could not increase further. Okay, so in that hardening, what we do is that we make sure to protect our system as much as we can. Fine, as much as we can. And we can set up a good policies in place, make the password much more complicated, enable multi-factor authentication. So guys, have you heard about something which we have in place which is called by the name of TPM? So yep, so there's a chip we have in place which also help us in achieving the hardening, right? not the only thing, but one of the chip in a system, which is called by the name of TPM, Trusted Platform Module. And every bit of an encryption, decryption, password, where are they are stored? They are stored in your TPM, right? Okay, very, very important thing. Fine. Okay, so that's called the TPM, Trusted Platform Module in place. Fine. That's called hardening the system, to make it hardening. Okay, so there is no single bullet, there are multiple protocols. There is another kind of a policy strategy we have in place, which is called by the name of defense in depth, right? Where we have multiple layers of security. You have firewalls, you have IDS, you have IPS, then you have web application firewall, then you have application firewall. You have multiple layer. If one layer gets breached, you have another layer, right? That's the thing. It is pretty expensive, but what the thing is that it fulfills its goal, right? It becomes it kinds of create a scenario to make hacking into the particular network architecture of the organization much more simpler.